everybody. Welcome to our fifth episode of Living Life Out Loud. You're probably wondering why are we online and not in our wonderful podcast studio today? And the reason is our guest this week is joining us from across the ocean in Dubai, and I cannot wait for you to hear her journey and her story. And today we're going to be welcoming Kim Shannon to Living Life Out Loud podcast. Hi, guys. Today we are here on the fifth episode of Living Life Out Loud podcast with the wonderful Kim Shannon, who's joining us all the way from Dubai. Kim, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm really excited that you are joining us today, not just because you are a storm to be reckoned with in the boxing world. You're now over in Dubai making waves and changes for women in boxing and sports and girls, but also you're a very close and dear friend of mine. I've known you for what, I think 15 years. So I'm really excited to dig into your journey, and I know that it's going to bless and inspire so many other girls and women who will watch this. So Kim is the first senior 51 kg female boxer for the first England team. She's also a former Great British Boxing champion, winning gold for England. I'm smiling as I'm saying that because I'm so proud of
Me
you,
too,
and it's
yeah,
such.
saying it.
How does it feel hearing that?
It's good sometimes, like you do forget it, especially because like these are sort of like past achievements, but it's brought me to where I am today. But obviously with somebody else sort of saying that, it's like, oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. But yeah, I lived
Yeah.
through it, achieved it, so it was good.
Absolutely. And you haven't stopped there. You're now over in Dubai, and you're working within the schools, teaching PE, and also developing a boxing community of women out there in the UAE. And you've also had a professional fight out there. So I'm really looking forward to getting into all the detail about that. But before we do, we always start the podcast with understanding who you are. So who is Kim?
Okay, so so I would say a very driven person. I'd say it would used to be, Kim Shannon is a boxer. She's, you know, fights for England, but there is so much more to me than just the boxing, of course. Boxing has brought me so many different wonderful opportunities. Um, but yeah, I think just wanting to make a change and within the world, but also respecting that changes are good also for myself. So yeah, it's a bit of a hard question, but yeah,
It is.
it's yeah, I think just taking every opportunity that you can, but as I'm getting older, it's choosing those that work well with me and what I believe in as well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting there because we've just talked about all these amazing achievements and the stuff that you've been doing. But I love the fact, and I think women sometimes can be caught up in um,
Yeah.
by society and also perhaps ourselves in terms of the labels, our job titles, whether we're a mother, whether we're a wife, and that becoming our identity, whereas you alone are your identity, and that's something that you do. And also hearing that you're happy and you've embraced pivoting and changing the direction of your career and your life as you've needed
Mm.
to.
Yeah, I think it's a big important thing as well. I think with women's boxing being so huge today, obviously we were the first kind of teams. I mean, boxing only really took off in 2012 with the London Olympics, introducing the first three weight categories. So since then, I've been with that from the get-go. So yeah, it's just being like proud of what you achieved, but so comfortable and content with not having that as your identity, because that used to be the way. And if I wasn't doing that, then you kind of lost like who you are. But in coming to Dubai, it just opened so many doors to go, okay, well, I've got this. There are so many different avenues or so many different things to me that is not only just the boxing. you know. So yeah, it's very important, especially females, not to put that label on, or you know, to identify with certain things. Like we can be so many things, you know.
Absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. So we've talked about, obviously you've moved over to Dubai now and you're pursuing a different career path. But could you just start me off at the very beginning of your journey? So how did you first get into boxing, which as you say has been your vehicle to the other doors that have opened for you? How did you start getting involved there?
So I have always been doing some sort of martial arts since I was a kid. I mean, I had grew up with brothers, a dad that was very interested in boxing. So I started my journey with Muay Thai actually. So I had a few fights there, which Muay Thai, for those that don't know, involves knees, clinching, kicks, elbows, boxing, everything. Obviously, it's quite popular now. So yeah, when I went to university, I went up to Birmingham, made the move, and I was still competing Muay Thai there. And then my journey just sizzled out a little bit with that. I didn't know where I was kind of going. And then obviously the doors open with boxing. I mean, with free weight categories being introduced for women in the Olympics now was a huge thing. And I was like, I can do that. So I found a boxing gym in Birmingham. They put me in for like a little charity fight. And it was actually against like a man. And it was just this, it was meant to be this nice, light-hearted little thing, which it was. But, you know, I kind of showed my former coach, look, I can kind of mix it a little bit. And he took an interest, and yeah, he just threw me into the deep end. I competed with some of the country's bests, like to begin with, learned so many different things about boxing, and yeah, the end is history. And then I just got invited to do all the assessments with England. It was the first senior team, female team that they created because they wanted to introduce different weight categories. So, but yeah, I was very fortunate because my weight category was the one that all eyes were on, because obviously they had the likes of Nicola Adams, which is currently 2 times Olympic gold medalist. We've got Lisa
Hmm.
Whiteside, Commonwealth champion. So I was mixing with these two. So yeah, and then had so many opportunities from that. So it all happened so quickly. But obviously with with hard work involved, of
Yeah.
course, and lots of training.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I came to watch the boxing where you
You did.
fought that guy. Yeah, it was epic. It was absolutely epic, and it was great to be a part of that journey, and to see that. And so you've talked about, like you just said, it didn't just come. You had to work hard. So what what motivated you, and what motivates you to do that and to continue to drive change?
Yeah, I think back then it was more so to, I think I was looking to to strive to become somebody. And I think in the society that was kind of like growing up as well, like for a woman, it was quite new. So I always liked to be a little bit different in a sport that I was doing. So yeah, that was kind of like a passion for me, and what kind of steered me in that direction. Also, as well, there was great opportunities, you know, obviously making family and friends proud. That was a huge thing. It brought, when I would fight, it would bring so many people together. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like friends, family, people that I hadn't met before, that was a part of my life. They'd all come together just to watch me for 4 2-minute rounds, you know. But yeah, it was, even so, it just gave me a bit of purpose, because you know, my training schedule was so strict. You know, I'd work, I'd teach as well, like throughout the day. And as soon
yeah.
as I'd finish training, I mean, you know, you so I went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, Saturday something, Sunday training. So I think it was so important, where boxing, not only just for men and young boys and females, like sorry, girls, it just gives you some structure in your life. And I think that's the most important thing that I did get out of that, was learning that structure and discipline, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You just kind of hit the nail on the head there. I was going to ask you because we don't always feel motivated, and like you said, you worked in a school
Yeah.
during the day. That's where we met, and then in the evenings you would train. But it wasn't just about the things that you did, like to the listeners, if you were going anywhere with Kim during this period of time, weddings, parties, New Year's Eve, she would turn up with Tupperware with steamed chicken and broccoli. So there was real discipline and commitment. So how did you, on the days when you didn't feel like it, but you still had to do it, where does that discipline come from? Because I think that, there's loads of memes that you see at the minute, which
Yeah,
are, don't follow the mood, follow the plan, but that's not easy to do. So
yeah.
how did you do that? And what advice could you give to somebody else?
I think it's surrounding yourself with the right people and supporting that circle. You know, if you see everybody around you, for me especially, when people were so proud of your achievements, it wasn't just you going to compete or it wasn't just you going to train. It was like a part of your life. So if I didn't train, like I wouldn't just be letting myself down. I'd be letting like my mum down, my dad, or, my friends or family that would always want to come and watch me fight, or this is this is who Kim was back then. Like it just was a part, it just became a routine. Like,
Yeah,
it, from those years of doing Muay Thai and then going into boxing, that structure was always there. So yeah, I think just thinking outside of the box, this is only just for me. I think it's like it's my life, it was everything. Work was work, and that was obviously the most important thing, but everything else like was boxing for me at that time to make it where I did. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the blood, sweat, and tears really did pay off. So what was your journey like? I mean, you've already said that one of your first fights was with a male, but um, in which you won. We hasten
Oh
to
no, I
add
didn't.
then.
Two eight
I did.
counts.
Oh, did I get that? Well, you gave it a good go. You really did. And but there were many fights that you did win, and there was some that, like you say, you took the L. But how did you then bounce back from those? How did you bounce back from, you've trained really hard, you've sacrificed? Because I think what people, I think we need to add here is that with the hard work also came sacrifice, missing out on things, and
Yeah.
that, other people were doing. So how did you pick yourself back up when things didn't go to plan?
Yeah, I think it was just being so strong, like in your mind with that clear vision. And one of the things that I can agree with, where you see, like, again, all these memes or all the athletes or people out there is like, when you've got a vision that's strong in your head and you do want to pursue it, that's the right thing to do. And that's what I always had, like, in my mind to push forward. Even like if I did take those losses, there was always like my coach there who, Paddy Farrell, just a little shout out to Second City ABC in Birmingham. Yeah, having a good coach, a supportive coach with, his family, were like my family then and are still to this day. Yeah, having somebody that's always there in your corner, not only in your fights. And again, having a mom that was so supportive and friends that understood. I think your circle was the strongest support that you could ever have. Some
Yeah,
people get mixed up with the wrong type of people, or people saying, "Oh, I don't do this. Come out for a drink," or whatever it is. Just that takes you away off your path. And yeah, you just need those people around you that know your plan, know your journey, respect that, and support you with your decisions as well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's something to be said about having the right people around you, isn't there,
For
in
sure.
terms of lifting you
Yeah.
up? But also, what I'm hearing is resilience. Like you had to have a lot of resilience to keep going.
Yeah. It was a push, like, don't get me wrong, like it was a very hard journey. Like they say, it's a roller coaster. And I think anything in life, whether it's you want to become like, British champion boxer, or anything, even if you're trying to pursue the highest level in your career, anything, it's going to be a roller coaster. There's going to be up moments, there's going to be down moments, fun, sad, everything. You've just got to embrace it. One day you may have like that sad day, but the next day you just got to get back on that ride and just keep pushing for what like
Yeah.
is yours.
Absolutely. So what was one of your biggest achievements? What has been one of your biggest achievements in your career to date? Not necessarily around boxing, it could be anything.
Hmm, I don't know. I think obviously boxing, like winning gold for England,
Yeah.
from the best of like England, Scotland, and Wales was amazing. But I don't know, having an opportunity, I think I came to a crossroads. There was a opportunity for me to turn pro. Now, obviously, that's a huge industry at the minute for female boxers. And I just felt a little bit lost in the job that I was doing in my teaching role. So I applied for a job in Dubai and numerous places, as well as kind of considering turning pro. I got offered an amazing opportunity, which was a lead trainer role in the UAE, and it was a chance to kind of come out here and develop teachers, support teaching with physical education, develop and identify gifted and talented students, like local students here, because they want to kind of develop the youth for future games, sports, Olympics. So yeah, and I went to the interview, and after that interview, I was like, "Oh, I haven't got that. Like, I haven't got that. I've given everything that I've got.
Yeah.
If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be." And then, yeah, found out a week later that I got the role. And it just felt like such a great achievement. It was like, oh my gosh, like you know, I think it wasn't anything to do, like I wasn't going to pursue fighting or anything else. It was another part of me that they saw, or the
Mm.
interviewers saw, that we need her talents, we need her skills, but not to fight. So I think that was a big achievement for me in itself, because it was just, yeah, and a new life that I could work with as well. So yeah, I would say that's one of my biggest achievements, is like thinking that I wasn't going to get the role, but
Yeah.
then I got it in the end. I just pushed it and tried, and that, I think that just comes from what you say, that resilience from having that in boxing, is I can take that forward for anything else as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you say, I think you kind of just saying they didn't think I was going to get it, but I still went for it anyway,
Yeah.
and gave it everything that you had. There's lots of stats out there about particularly women won't go for job roles or won't go for the higher paid
Mm,
roles because they don't think they fit all the criteria, or they've already made up in their mind that they're not gonna get it, and so they don't go for it.
mhm,
There's a stat, and this isn't accurate by any means, but I think it's something like 70% of women wouldn't apply for a job unless they met all of the criteria on the job description, whereas men generally tend to say, well, I meet 50% of
that's
it,
it.
the other bit I'll work out. So, what advice would you give to perhaps a woman, or even a young girl that's starting out in her career, that's faced with what sounded like two roads that you were going to go down? Um, what advice would you give perhaps from a mindset perspective?
I would say the scariest option in terms of like like for example, I'll put it to my situation. Okay, we had to stay in England, become a professional boxer, maybe find another teaching role job, or go to a different country where you can change so many people's lives, and the under 18s in the country, meet new people. I didn't know anybody there,
Yeah.
but it's a great opportunity. Like take that opportunity. If you do seriously have that opportunity in life, take it, because you can, if it doesn't work out, you can always go home, or you can always change or do something else. If you a saying that is so popular, I'm gonna got it on my risk, is without risk. um if you yeah, without risk there's no gain. Nothing worth having like comes easy. And like I say, you just never want to be in a position where you're like, I would never know. Like you take the risk, sometimes, as long as it's in a good risk, a positive
Yeah.
risk. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we can eventually learn to live with something that didn't go right, but it's a
For
lot
sure.
harder to live with something that you never tried in the first place. So,
Agreed.
um, absolutely. And, you know, your background is education. You've worked as a teacher. You've worked both here in the UK and my ad, that was one of the most challenging schools. It was for young people who had been
Yeah.
excluded from education, somewhat to a degree from society as well. And that was really important for you to make a change with them. And you've talked a lot about changing the lives of people in Dubai, where you're working now as well. So, what's that change? What is that for you?
Um, I think for me, I mean, the school that I'm currently working in at the minute, I think the change for me is to kind of change the mindset in sport. Um, I think it's to kind of like give those young girls an opportunity to realize that moving your body, being strong, being confident, being a leader, that all the benefits that sport provides an individual, um, that they take those things through, to their adult life, and they start changing that next generation coming through over here. I think you can see it more in sort of the different Emirates, like for example, Dubai. Fitness is very popular, whereas the school that I'm working with at the minute is just on the outside. So yeah, we just want to kind of reach out to those young minds and change them, give them different opportunities. It's like a couple of weeks ago we were lucky enough to have the UAE captain of the women's
Mhm.
national team come to our school, and she was amazing. Like the students started to play football with her. You could just see that they was aspiring to kind of like be with her, like her in the future. So that's like a moment that they'll always remember, and it's providing those opportunities that will kind of change their life in the future, even if it's just one or two girls. Like
Yeah.
that's a huge thing for me. So yeah, I think it's just changing the mindsets a little bit on activity and being active, and but obviously the other side of things, being a confident, strong female, which is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, I definitely see how, you've achieved that with so many people. And here well, in all parts of the world, there's so much cultural work that needs to be done to change
Mm.
perceptions of women in sport, in the workplace, in the home, maybe, depending on where your thought process is. And I think sports definitely supports women and girls with that body confidence as well,
Yeah,
in being able to say, this is my tool and I can use it as I wish. And then, leads to, I've seen that sort of that resilient focus mindset that you have. And I think that so many other sports people have, and it really supports in sharing and achieving that too. So um whilst boxing isn't, like you said, it absolutely isn't your identity. Your identity is Kim, and how you've embodied, the challenges, the pivots, the changes, the achievements. So, what advice would you give to somebody, because sports is your speciality, that's your specialty? How would you, um, if there was, somebody that's really thinking about, I want to get into sports, whatever sports that might be, or specifically martial arts or boxing, and they're feeling like it's not a place for women. And actually, they may well be in a male dominated space, whether it's in the training or in the profession. What advice would you give to, I don't know, a 15, 16-year old, or even a 20-year old that's wanting to go into that field?
yeah, like I think it's just a matter of, sometimes it's hard to get that confidence to go, oh, I'm just going to do it. But sometimes it actually just comes down to that, where you have sometimes got to just put yourself in the deep end. Like for example, if you want to go to that workout class, sign up for it, do it. If you don't like it, sign up to another thing. Just keep trying to find your thing to do, because with like with sport and exercise. Even, you know, there could be a little running club, there could be a walking club, it could be yoga. There's the communities that you can find um, within sport, and lifelong friends throughout sport is so
Mhm.
important. Even if you have like a friend who's also interested, the advice that I would give is grab them along, go together. If you have a sister, mom who's interested, just pull anybody if that's really something that you want to do. Like, I would advise them just go for it, explore the world. Like, you know, there might be different things that you will find to do. A good example of that is the boxer Ramla Ali, a friend of mine as well. She, you know, pro boxer, model, amazing. But she's just started a thing called the Sisters Club, and it's all different sports, and it's bringing the community together through sports. So it's people finding different friends that come from different backgrounds, different cultures, everything together. And yeah, and it's through the power of sport. So yeah, have the confidence, go and try different things and see what you like. I think that's the stepping stone to the start of that journey.
Absolutely. So what's thank you. That's some really great advice. And what's the future look like for Kim? What's the plan? Because you clearly um adapted to change, and you know how to pivot your career when it needs to pivot. And I don't think a lot of people know and do that enough to say, okay, it's time for a change. So yeah, what's in store for Kim over the next few years?
We shall see. I mean, we've got a great youth team at the minute out here with Spartans Gym. So I'm helping to support their youth program grow, hopefully go to the nationals in the UAE. And
Amazing.
obviously, they, you know, if they go on to travel anywhere else, they'll always take that with them with regards to the boxing. In terms of the ladies community over here with the boxing, keep on continuing to grow that, whether they want to go on and fight or they just want to come and train, give them the opportunity to learn new things, meet new people, and just feel strong in themselves. And in terms of my career out here, just keep on trying to support and help the younger generation in this country. I think that's the most important thing to do. And yeah, take each day as it comes, I think. Yeah, but keep pursuing that. My fighting days are over.
Yeah.
So as I'm getting a little bit older, you know, it's very nice to kind of take health into consideration a little bit more. I think that's so important. I think one of the main things with female sports and stuff is, and I actually see it now with women that I have met or fought against, they're still trying to pursue this thing that when you do get older as a woman, like, you know, your health is just so much more important. So I think, yeah, just looking after the health and trying to help and guide other women in my situation through everything like that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but enjoy life.
Absolutely. I could talk to you for another half hour, an hour to about the physic physicality and the physiology of a male body and a female body in
Yeah,
boxing, and how that actually you know can dictate parts of your career as well.
that could be another episode, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
I say, just a brief thing on that, but it's like it's so important. That's the thing, like you, yeah, as you get a little bit older, like you have to really, you know, to all those younger females in boxing, for example, or any sort of combat sports, your health is so important. Even though you think it's okay to take a body shot and this and that, but you know, I'm like one of the with the blokes, but you're not. Like, we're a woman. We've got
Yeah.
different things to protect in our body, and it's very important to. I think nowadays there are more guided coaches out there as well that does understand that. But yeah, it's two different things. So
Absolutely, absolutely, and yes, definitely, we will have to do a follow up on that. And just my last question. We always The Living Life Out Loud podcast is, our motto at Live and Lead is about taking the lead in your life. It's about grabbing the bull by the horns and just squeezing every bit of life and giving every bit of purpose you have. And you've really shared that today. So, what does living life out loud mean to you?
I think I think one of the big things for me is acts of service. Like all the job roles that I'm doing at the minute and different things is providing and giving for other people,
Yeah,
but also to do that for yourself and your close circle. I think that's a 50, it's a not even 50-50, but it's so important to find that balance. I
yeah,
think as I am going through the different stages of life, like I think making other people happy and providing people with what you can give them and what you've learned, what you've experienced, career and family wise, but also yourself. But yeah, I think just making people see that you can go on to achieve amazing things. You have got to accept that it's going to be hard work, but take each day as it comes and just live life how you want to live it. And yeah, I think that's the main key. I think I'm trying to follow that more and more each day. But again,
yeah.
it's you have to keep on learning and growing throughout this journey anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is a journey, and one that I'm really glad that we get to do together in parts as well, Kim. So I'm so happy and grateful, and thank you for being here today on Living Life Out Loud.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.